All right, we begin with news from Parliament, where we understand the majority and minority are in a last-ditch effort to reach an agreement on the three key revenue measures that are critical for an IMF deal. Remember that those bills, there were three, in fact, the Excise Amendment Bill, the Growth and Sustainability Levy, and the Income Tax Amendment bill were put before Parliament for a vote. We are expecting a decision to be taken later today. But as we are receiving reports from Parliament right now, MPs are in a last-ditch effort to reach an agreement. But we know that the Finance Minister and Central Bank governors have all been urging Parliament to pass these key revenue measures because of how critical they are for an IMF deal. We will be linking up with a parliamentary correspondent, Kwawu, Asante, for the latest from over there. We understand that at this point there are also some protesters over there at Parliament calling for the taxes to be approved. But joining us on Zoom is Dr. Patrick Esuming, who is an economist, to discuss this further. So there's so much pressure on MPs to reach an agreement, Doc. What are the implications if the MPs don't decide on the tax measures before they go on Easter break, seeing that we need an IMF deal quickly?
Good afternoon, Daryl, and good afternoon to viewers. Thanks for having me again. So I think it's part of a broader set of prior actions. This is part of what we have to do on our part. So there's been a series of actions. We've seen that we finished the domestic debt exchange. Now, in addition to these three bills, as we heard from the governor on Monday, they also have to pass a bill on the zero financing by the Bank of Ghana. So all of these are part of the prior measures that we need to do to fulfill the IMF deal. But my own sense is that with or without the passage of these bills, we are not going to be able to present the IMF deal for the board approval. So I don't think the consequences are immediately as dire as it should be. If you don't pass this time, it should give the government more time to go and engage with the stakeholders, the business and private sector, who are going to be directly affected by this, so that a bill based more on consensus than what we are seeing now. At the moment, you see that there's a widespread disagreement and protest about this new tax measure. So if the parliamentarians refuse to pass it.
Well, a question though, do we really have a choice? In the unlikely event that this is not passed, does the government have any other option to secure an IMF deal?
So, this really is feeding into how we bring down the deficit on year-to-year basis. And if you look at the 2022 budget and the expenditures, and then if you look at what we are budgeting for 2023, we could have held ourselves if we hadn't raised our expenditure so much. So the expenditure jumped so much between what we did in 2022 and what we are projecting to do in 2023. So this is where the calls for expenditure cuts come in. If we are not able to pass all these tax measures, it will mean that we won't be raising as much revenue. Then we really should force us to go and cut back on our expenditures. The other thing is that we have to really think carefully and see if these are the ways we really want to raise more revenue. There's no question that we need to expand our revenue bracket. But when you look at the three
Looks like Dr. Patrick Esuming is frozen there. We'll try and get him back on, but we are discussing what we see to be a very important event that is supposed to take place in Parliament today, to do with the three key revenue measures that have been put forward by the government. We are talking about the Income Tax Amendment Bill, the Growth and Sustainability Levy, and the Excise Amendment Bill. They are outstanding in the new budget for this year. That's the 2023 budget. The government needs it passed so that we can pursue an IMF deal. It's a prerequisite for that. It's just getting the thoughts of Dr. Patrick Esuming on that. Hopefully, we can also get to Parliament to get a sense of what is happening there, because we understand that the leadership of both the minority and majority caucuses are making a last-ditch effort to reach an agreement on the 3 tax measures. You know that they have been on it since last week. Actually expected a vote last week, but then it didn't happen. And so today we expect a decision to be taken, and it's important that it happens as quickly as possible because the MPs will be going for an Easter break. We just lost you towards the conclusion of your statement there. If you could just recap quickly, Dr. Patrick, assuming the point that you were making.
Daryl, I don't know if you can hear me, but the sound is muted from your end, so I couldn't hear your questions.
Yeah, I was just saying that we lost you a bit towards the end of your submission. If you could just quickly recap the point you were making. Okay, looks like Dr. Patrick, assuming, has a problem hearing us. Can you hear us, Doc? If not, can you hear me, Doc?
Yes, I can hear you now.
Yeah, I was just asking you to just conclude on the point that you were making, because we lost you a bit towards the end of your submission.
Yes, so I was saying that, you know, there are different ways we can look to raise more revenue, because the new tax measures are really not doing anything to broaden the tax base. The tax net. We are just, you know, taxing more those who are already in the tax bracket, and we are going to raise more indirect taxes. So I think that's where the problem is. That's not to say that I don't think any of the measures should be passed at all. There are some components of the measures that are being proposed that I'll be very supportive of. But in general, this is not doing anything to broaden our tax net, which is where our main problem with revenue lies.
Okay, I want to switch topics and talk about a new data from the Bank of Ghana, which is showing that the total value of our economy saw significant growth ending February 2023. It reached 615 billion cedis. The challenge here is that our debt currently stands at 576 billion cedis, and that represents 93.5% of the total value of the economy. And so just wondering, is there anything to be excited about?
No. It shouldn't give us any cause for excitement at all. That is just our nominal GDP. And don't forget that last year, prices rose so high, I mean, higher than we've seen in a long time. So the fact that the nominal GDP has risen substantially doesn't mean that the economy has grown at all. It simply reflects the fact that last year we saw extremely high level of price rises. So it's nothing to be excited about, I'm afraid.
Well, that was very blunt. And so what do we do? I mean, wait for an IMF deal to see some real impact? I don't know.
Well, I think we have to understand what the IMF deal will immediately do for us. It's going to do, maybe best case scenario, for the first 1 year or 1.5 years, it might help us to stabilize the economy in terms of the currency, the debt, and then also prices. But we have to understand that we've had that before. If we don't have long-term strategies to build on that macroeconomic stability, generate long-term growth, the IMF program really wouldn't change much by way of how the economy works. So once we're able to get some form of stability, we have to have a strategy for how we are going to restructure the economy so that ultimately we don't come back to the problems that we always face. So unfortunately, it doesn't look like there's been a clear...
Please go on. Ignore that. Just go on with your thoughts.
Yeah, so it doesn't look like there's a clear communication of some strategy. Something has been put out in the 2022-2023 budget. But it looks like there's been so much focus on working to get the IMF deal that we have not really paid attention to building on those measures that will fundamentally change the structure of the economy. And that's what I think that, we also...
Okay, thank you so much. Dr. Patrick Assuming, the economist, appreciate your thoughts. It was great speaking with you. Well, let's head to Parliament now. Kwawu Asante over there for us with the latest from over there. And so, Kwawu, what's the latest concerning today's vote by the MPs? You initially reported that the leadership of both the minority and majority were making a last-ditch effort to reach some sort of an agreement. What's the latest from there?
Right, Daryl, it's 1:14 per the time. I'm just looking at the screen near me, and Parliament hasn't started speaking as of, they haven't started sitting as of yet. Normally when session is delaying during set times, it's because there is some haggling, there's some sort of conversations, some form of negotiations going on behind the scenes. And so close to 1:30, Parliament hasn't started sitting. But last week, when the business statement was presented, the indication was that these tax bills will be taken today. Last week, it was supposed to be taken Thursday. It wasn't taken because of the ministerial vote. This week as well, it is expected to be taken today. It hasn't been taken already. There are some protesters in front of Parliament who are asking MPs to pass these bills. They say that these taxes are crucial for government to get its IMF bailout, crucial to turn things around, crucial to fill the gap that government is experiencing in terms of its ability to raise revenue. And so they are piling the pressure on Parliament to pass.
See, Kwawu Asante frozen there. Let's see if we can get him back on. He was talking about protests there. I think we can show those clips for you. A few protesters in front of Parliament asking that the revenue measures are passed. They don't have enough time, seeing that we need that IMF deal passed. MPs are going to be going for an Easter break, and so if they don't get that deal in place, that vote in place, is going to sort of hamper our efforts to get an IMF deal. When we get Kwawu Asante back on, we'll talk to him about what's happening in Parliament. But just like he indicates, it's past 1 o'clock, and there are no signs that the MPs are heading into the chamber, and so we'll just keep our eyes on that and see whatever happens from there. But if Kwawu joins us, we'll continue that conversation. But let's talk about air travel now, because some good news. We are told that the Ghana Airlines will become operational in the month of July this year, that most of the processes are complete, according to the Transport Minister, Kwawu Asante. He addressed the press at the Information Ministry. Let's take a listen.
Ghana Airways, it will fly again. I think government took a decision to join the private sector to make sure that we have a national carrier. I can tell you that. You see, in some of these matters, it is not an event, it's a process that we need to go through. And I think that I've realized that in this country, anytime that one's come out to say that our government is doing it, they want to see it tomorrow. Yes, I want to, I think the enthusiasm is there, but it is not possible. We need to go through the processes. Even procurement alone, even going through the system, we need to, if you jump one, you cannot. It's going to be a problem. But so far, I can tell you that the proponent have done so well. Madam Chief Director was just whispering into my ears that they've gone through all the processes, because they needed to go through the processes. GCL and GCA, the regulator had to make sure that it is well grounded. And Mr. Charles Kwawu told me the other day that they certified all the requirements. They are going to launch their logo. My information from them is that by the end of April or May, they will start selling their tickets. And by June, July, you see a national airline, Ghana Airlines, flying in the sky. Inshallah, it shall be well.
Well, that sounds exciting. Meantime, aviation sector players say they are yet to recover from the impact of the COVID-19 pandemic. In fact, it has been a tussle. Chief Executive Officer of Ethiopian Airlines Ghana, Anile Shetu, spoke to Joy Business at the first night flight of Ethiopian Airlines here in Ghana. Here's more.
Ethiopian Airlines is to become the largest international airline servicing the Kotoka International Airport by frequency when the airline starts 4 additional night flights to augment its existing daily afternoon service. According to area manager of Ethiopian Airline for Ghana, Sierra Leone and Liberia, Anile Ishetu, the introduction of 4 additional flights to their existing 7 flights per week is to allow the Addis Ababa-based airline to connect Accra to more African destinations.
Ethiopian Airlines has been in Ghana for more than 6 decades, uninterrupted service for 63 years. So this is a continuation of our commitment to serve Africa, to connect Africa together and to the rest of the world. So what makes these new evening flights different is that these evening flights will enable the traveling public to travel with more convenience and time efficiency, in a sense that a passenger departing from Accra in the evening will be same-day connected to anywhere in Africa. We have peacefully navigated through the storms of the impact of COVID. You can take simply our service to Ghana. We have never cancelled a single flight while operating during the COVID season. Rather, we have been repatriating citizens from different corners of the world and transporting as well vital medical equipments to different African cities. So recovery has not been easy.
The increase in flight frequency will also allow the airline to provide more travel options to passengers on board sister airline ASKY Airlines, which seek to connect flights in Accra to various destinations in the world.
All right, let's head back to Kwawu Asante, who is in Parliament for us. Kwawu, you are telling us about some protesters who are piling up pressure on MPs to pass the proposed tax measures. But what are the chances that this won't pass? Is a matter of numbers, and the majority has proven that it has got the numbers. So what's the likelihood that this won't pass? We appear to have lost Kwawu once again. Technology not our friend today, but let's move on to other stories for you. Let's head to the mining community of Takwa, where there's looming danger. A very disturbing story to report. We are told that local miners over there are using old shafts for mining, despite warnings about potential hazards. Here's more from Erastus Cesario-Donko.
Takwa, an old mining town, is dotted with age-old underground shafts. 2 of them, the Fanti Mines, an old deep shaft mine on the hilly outskirts of the town, and the Akun Mines, have been taken over and converted into government-sanctioned community mining schemes. A 3rd shaft, the Apinto Mines, sitting on Goldfields Company's land close to Asaman Kakraba, is considered illegal. It is operated by a chief at Takwa. In 2022, a Takwa High Court placed an injunction on their operations there, but the order was ignored. Currently, there are attempts to take over the old Mantram shaft at Brahababume, which sits in Goldfields, Ghana's active mining zone. Despite the company's warning against the move, these individuals and their Chinese collaborators are preparing to turn it into a community mining scheme with government support. So where I'm standing now is between the Pepe pit and the Tebrebe pit, all belonging to the Goldfields Company Limited. Now, the Tebrebe pit is the deepest of their pits and is about 100 to 150 meters close to their Mantram shaft. Now, this is the danger, the possibility that their main activities as an active mine will conflict with that of the community, proposed community mining. When they blast, you get flying stones everywhere, and it is possible that the impact itself could endanger the lives of anybody who is using the Mantram shaft as a community mining. And that threat is what many sources within the company are trying to prevent. All these places bear the tagline community mining, but on the ground, the real ownership and the community share is not clear. A clear example is the Akun community mining inaugurated by the Lands Ministry. While the government says the scheme belongs to the community, Unit Committee Chairman Frank Boham and his executives deny this.
The community has decided to go on demonstration because he claims the activity is Akun community mining. But none of our leaders have a stake in it. We don't have any representation on it.
It doesn't belong to Akon. Nobody can claim that it belongs to Akon. Go there and see. You have the leaders of the MPP being in charge of the community mining. Do you call that? It's political mining. It's not community mining.
They show me deep cracks in individual homes as a result of blasting from the Akun community mining scheme.
When they blast, it shakes the building. That is what is cracking this building. You see the line of the crack from here to that end. I don't know how to fix this because even if I fix it, they are still mining and blasting.
Old man in
We've been here since the old mining times, but things were not like this. But it is when they started the community mining, long blasting, that our buildings started experiencing these cracks. All of us in this area are affected. If you look at my building, my tiles are cracked, the walls are affected. It is serious. We pray the building doesn't collapse on us.
Request for responses from the MCE for Takwa did not receive any response. Meanwhile, there are signs of an intended inauguration of more of these community mining schemes in areas designated dangerous by Goldfields Ghana Limited. Sources at the Goldfields say any attempt to use the Mantram shaft for a similar community scheme will result in a tragedy. Reporting for Joy News, Erastus Asaredonko, Takwa, Western Region.
Well, that's certainly worrying. Our last story for this afternoon has to do with improving on food security, and Chief Agric Advisor at the J. Kufuor Foundation, Abraham Juma Odum, is advocating a shift from the monoculture system of farming to polyculture. Ohim Interior explains in this report.
Under the auspices of the Asante Hene, the Maiden Graphic National Development Series in Kumasi provided a platform for experts to share ideas on the way forward to usher Ghana into food security. Abraham Juma Odum, a former member of parliament and a deputy minister of health with no agricultural background, has over the years demonstrated expertise in agriculture, serving as a policy advisor to the Competitive Africa Rice Initiative in Nigeria. He is credited for deliberately leading a policy plan which led to the record 9 million metric tons of rice produced in 2021 in Nigeria. Mr. Odum wants a shift from overdependence on monocultural farming and inorganic fertilizers, which has degraded the country's soil, and also called for revolution, especially in agriculture financing. But first, he wants an attitudinal change among Ghanaians about farming.
Those were the days that we didn't need fertilizer. Those days we didn't need fertilizer. Like Prof explained, there was that eco-recycling, making sure that the soil was being taken care of. And now what has happened? We were there when we were introduced to some conventional monoculture agriculture that came to rob us of our land, destabilizing our agriculture to the extent that now, I agree, we have about 60% of the land, but we don't have the soil. The soil is highly degraded. You put in anything and nothing happens. They came with their technology, not because they love us, because they wanted to deprive us of our livelihood. They wanted us to be dependent on them.
The founder and director of the Songhai Regional Center in Porto Novo, Benin, Father Professor Godfrey Nzumajo, wants Africa to effectively deploy and use microbes and solar energy. He is unhappy only 3% of the abundant solar energy in Africa is utilized.
How can we use approximately 80% of the solar energy instead of 3% that cannot be used by the chloroplast? The chloroplast can only solve 3.6. Small, 3%, 6% mostly. So we can now go to 80%, capturing the energy in the center. This is the trick. This is a new trap there. Then, how do we recycle and revalorize plants and animal residues by microorganisms? So this kind of thing is a new total war, the new basis of agriculture.
The program, initiated by the Graphic Communications Group, is aimed at finding solutions to some of the major socio-economic issues confronting the country.
All right, that's our program this afternoon. More news on our website, myjoyonline.com/business, including today's top story on the 3 crucial IMF tax bills to be tabled before Parliament today. We're keeping our eyes on that for you with updates subsequently. My name is Daryl. Thanks for watching. We will be back same time tomorrow.